Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. Going to have a look at the ECMWF 30-day model for today's first video. So looking at temperature and rainfall anomalies for the next 4 weeks for the UK and the rest of Europe as well from the ECMWF 30-day model. And I shall get on that for you very shortly. Just say that coming up later on today, we're going to have the 10 to 14 day update. We'll include all of regular features, and that'll be with you later on this afternoon. We're at Copernicus.eu for this, so a big thank you to them for supplying us with the charts. We can extend this out to weeks 5 and week 6. But for this video, we'll stop at 30 days at 4 weeks. And we'll show you the weeks 5 and 6 temperature rainfall anomalies tomorrow in the live stream. That'll be from 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so we're going to start off with the week 1 temperature anomaly for the UK and for the rest of Europe as well. So, as you've seen for the last week or two, we've got a real east-west split here across Europe, a big divide from east to west. So, the west of Europe still looking colder than average for week 1, from the 5th through to the 11th of October. Below average temperatures for the UK, for Ireland, for much of France, into Belgium, Holland, Low Countries, and into western and southwestern parts of Germany, and then down into central Bar of the Med, and also into Spain and Portugal. All of those areas across the west of Europe have cooler than average temperatures. On the other hand, we go through to the north and to the east of Europe, and we see that it is significantly warmer than average. So from Greece and Turkey, the eastern part of the Mediterranean, right way up through the Black Sea into west of Russia, and the east of Europe, and then on into much of northern and eastern Scandinavia, around Baltic Sea areas and northeastern parts of Europe. It's warmer than average through there, and the temperature anomaly in some areas in that eastern northeast part of Europe going up to around 4 to 5 degrees above average. But out in the west of Europe, we see temperatures of around 2 degrees below average. So very different across Europe from east to west. In Mediterranean, we see this divide as well. So western parts of the Med, from Italy westwards, generally looking cooler than average. Italy eastwards, generally looking warmer than average, particularly for Greece, Turkey, Cyprus, all of those sort of areas. Week 1 rainfall anomaly looks very unsettled through most parts of Europe as well. So we have above average rainfall anomalies from southern England and Wales and through to northern France and down to the Bay of Biscay, all the way over to the far east of Europe and into west of Russia down towards the Black Sea. So a vast swathe of wetter than average conditions with low pressure coming in through these areas along with the jet stream too. Now in southern Europe it is drier than average through there, especially from Spain and Portugal over to southern Italy and the central bar of Mediterranean, including the holiday islands of the Balearics and Corsica, Sardinia. We see drier than average conditions through there. Drier than average conditions also extending down into the eastern part of the Mediterranean, so parts of Greece coming out drier than average. Turkey is a little bit of a mixed bag, but generally on the drier than average side through there as well. But we've come up into Black Sea and then into the south of Russia, we find that it does go wetter than average through there. Notice drier than average conditions in the north of the Atlantic, so it looks drier than average around Iceland, for example. That is probably indicative of a mid-Atlantic ridge combined with some northern blocking, sending the jet stream southwards and taking the areas of low pressure with that jet stream, of course. Week 2 temperature anomaly gets even colder across western parts of Europe. So if anything, the cold spell intensifies for week 2. This would be 12th through to the 18th of October. And again, we see a real east-west split. Quite incredible how marked this divide is. So across western parts of Europe, we're talking about temperature anomalies through the UK, Ireland, much of Germany, Denmark, into the Low Countries, into France, down to Spain, Portugal. We're talking about temperature anomalies widely of around 1 to 5 degrees below average. It looks like some parts of inland southern France and northern Spain are going down to around 4 to 5 degrees below average on this temperature scale, and widely, like the UK, northern France, seeing temperatures of around 2 to 3 degrees below average. So really a very cold week to come for the time of year across western parts of Europe. Again, we go further eastwards though, and it is so much warmer. So on this eastern side of Europe, quite clearly it's very significantly warmer than average. particularly again into like the south of Russia and around the Black Sea. We have temperature anomalies of around 5 to 6 degrees potentially above average. So very, very mild in the east and the southeast of Europe, much colder in the west. And again, we have this east-west split in evidence through the Mediterranean. So from Italy westwards, most parts of the Med are colder than average. From Italy eastwards, most parts of the Med are warmer than average, and particularly so the further east you happen to go. So, proper east-west split for temperature anomalies for week 2 as well. Week 2 rainfall anomaly from the 12th through to the 18th of October looks like that. So it is starting to go a little bit drier in the northwest of Europe. We find that across Norway down to the UK and into Ireland, we're going drier than average through those areas as the wetter conditions are being pushed eastwards. So the wettest conditions are extending from like the west of Germany and the east of France over towards the Ukraine, for example, and then down through the central parts of the Med, through the Adriatic and towards the Balkans as well, looking really quite wet in this week. A three-way split in the Mediterranean, so wet in the central areas, dry around Spain and Portugal, or dry around Spain and Portugal, and then still pretty dry as we go over towards Greece and Turkey. Again, I think we do see northern blocking in evidence here, dry on average across the North Atlantic and to the northwest of the UK, so this is where we've got blocking areas of high pressure. Still, same with jets, we're probably doing something a little bit like that with the jet stream in this week, actually. So we've got a warm ridge just here that's pushing up those warm southerly winds on the far eastern side of Europe. Trough of low pressure is through here, and of course that plunges down those cold temperatures from the north across those western parts of Europe. Week 3 temperature anomaly looks like this, 19th to 25th of October. Beginning to go milder across western parts of Europe. In fact, all parts of Europe look like they are warming up. So we're losing the intensity of the warmth on the eastern side of Europe. It is still warm than average, but not as warm in week 3 as it is in weeks 1 and 2 on the eastern side of Europe. But conversely, we're finding those cooler than average conditions fading away across the west. It's still a little bit cooler than average around the Bay of Biscay and down into central parts of the Mediterranean. But you notice much of Scandinavia is turning milder, much of Germany, Denmark, into northern and eastern France, turning milder than average. Even some parts of the UK and Ireland, similar temperatures just going ever so slightly above average. So average ever so slightly above in the far northwest Europe. But clearly there is a warming trend going on here across many northern and western parts of Europe compared to week 2, which remember looks like that, to week 3. Clearly there is a warming trend taking place across many parts of Europe through this third week of October. The rainfall anomaly looks like that from 19th to 25th of October for week 3. So yes, it's dry on average through the central bowl of the Mediterranean. It looks very wet around Spain and Portugal. Still quite wet across northern and western Europe, or becoming quite wet across northern and western Europe. So I think the jet stream beginning to return northwards probably. Still dry on average over in the Norwegian Sea and around Iceland, for example. So still some northern blocking left over. But I think generally everything is starting to push up from the south a little bit through this third week of October. So the jet streams moving northwards, areas of low pressure moving back northwards, and of course milder temperatures are moving back northwards as well. In Mediterranean, again, very wet around Spain and Portugal, but anywhere sort of east of that, looking generally quite dry, really, through most parts of the Med. And then finally, week 4 temperature anomaly takes us from the 26th of October to 1st of November, and we look like that, becoming a little bit cooler again in the extreme northwest. So Ireland and the UK, and possibly down to like the far west of France and the north of Spain, indicating that we might be going a little bit cooler than average once more here. So yeah, temperature beginning to fall away. So despite that milder third week, I think the ECM is forecasting a colder than average October for the UK and for Ireland as well. Anywhere further east of that, the temperature anomaly is around a degree or so above average. So Scandinavia, much of Scandinavia, close to average. The Low Countries, Belgium, Holland, Netherlands, northern parts of France, into Germany, sort of 1 degree above average perhaps. the core of the warmth again is in this far eastern and southeastern part of Europe, particularly focused around the Black Sea, towards Greece, and those sort of areas, looking a little bit warmer there, around 2 to 3 degrees above average temperature. Normally in the Mediterranean, so it's warm on the eastern side of the Med, and near normal over on the western side of the Med. And then finally, the week 4 rainfall anomalies from the 26th of October, 1st of November shows, again, really quite wet conditions across much of North and West Europe. So we still have plenty of low pressure around across the North West Europe. This looks like a cold and wet October for Ireland and for the UK, really, and for other sort of western parts of Europe as well, really. So there's still a jet stream coming through here. Much of the Mediterranean looks quite dry. Still a bit drier than average across like the North Scandinavia and down into Norway. Still the hints are there that there's like a mid-Atlantic ridge combined with a little bit of northern blocking as well. It's probably not quite as strong or as clear-cut in the second half of October as it is in the first half, but I think the hints are still there, but we've got higher pressure through these areas with the lower pressure through here, and so the jet stream probably again doing something a little bit like that. There is some higher pressure though through the Mediterranean, which will be trying to push milder temperatures and drier conditions back north and send the jet stream back north as well. So maybe a little bit of a fight going on actually in this last week of October between heights trying to rise in the Med and from the Azores, but still with the northern blocking and mid-Atlantic ridge type pattern in the far north of the Atlantic, and then up in towards southern Arctic regions. Anyway, that's it. So the upshot is that it seems like we're looking at quite a coldish, quite a cold October for many northern and western parts of Europe, below average temperatures in the north and in the west of Europe, with just that one sort of milder week really across many parts of Europe, which is the third week of October. Overall, quite cold temperatures in the north and in the west, with the warmest temperatures over on the eastern side of Europe, and really quite a wet October as well for much of northern and western Europe. That's how it's looking today. Just a snapshot, but it could all look very different next week. Any forecast beyond 5-7 days comes with big health warnings. It's fraught with danger, but that's what it's showing today. Anyway, quite a cold and wet October coming up for much of northern and Western Europe. We'll be back later on with your 10 to 14 day video, including all of regular features, so come back for that then. For this video though, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.